Well, let's get more now from Dr. Norman Reynolds, who was Zimbabwe's former chief economist. Thanks for being with us. Looking at some of the latest statements coming out of Harare and Zimbabwean officials rejecting the idea of political reform. Now I'm wondering, when South Africa's president addresses the meeting, will he have much to show for his policy of quiet diplomacy rather than public criticism?
Thank you. We can't really tell what Mbeki will deliver because we'll have to wait probably till the end of tomorrow, Friday. But the indications are that Mbeki has not yet produced a solution to the holding of free and fair elections in Zimbabwe, which are due next March. He has warned civil society that they may have to kowtow to some sort of amendments dictated by Mugabe. But how the international community would follow that and ensure free and fair elections is not certain. The biggest issue, perhaps that's never discussed, is that there are 5 million adults who have left Zimbabwe, who themselves would form a majority of the electorate. If they were given the right to vote in Zimbabwe, by postal vote or whatever other means, then there's no question that Robert Mugabe could not win the next election. He knows that. He's never wanted another election. He's had 3 fraudulent elections without being stopped. So the question mark is very large. Will he allow an election? Can the international community actually monitor it effectively? And can the biggest majority, who are now the economy of Zimbabwe, the refugees living outside, will they be allowed to vote?
Well, you talked there about the international community and what it should do. Let's talk a little bit about the African community and the SADC conference that's going on. Do you expect any concrete measures or steps to come out of that conference in dealing with the crisis?
I suppose everybody is not very hopeful. One, because the Mbeki report won't take things very far at this moment. Secondly, because some of the major issues are really now economic rather than political. And it therefore suggests that this meeting of the SADC is working in a form of denial of the actual reality on the ground. It's as if things were fairly normal and a dictator is willing to talk about elections with an opposition who is severely beaten and without much resources.
But surely
so it's a lopsided internal system.
Sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to say, surely in private, the African leaders must be concerned about the situation in Zimbabwe. I mean, the incoming chairman of the SADC once described Zimbabwe as a sinking Titanic.
Yes, that is true. And people like Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu for some 3-4 years have called for active steps to resolve the issue. The SADC is, of course, a moral club. The question, therefore, is do they have moral cards that they're willing to play? They haven't in the past. I don't think the Mbeki report will be made public in this meeting. It's not leading as yet to anything very firm. And the how of conducting elections is not yet known. And the biggest question remains the great majority of voters and economically active Zimbabweans are outside Zimbabwe as refugees. What will their role be?
All right, Dr. Norman Reynolds, Zimbabwe's former chief economist, thanks for being with us.